The information contained on the Crypto Sports Collector website and social media is for general information and educational purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for legal, commercial, and/or financial advice from a licensed professional. The business of online investing is a complicated matter that requires serious financial due diligence for each investment to be successful. You are strongly advised to seek the services of qualified, competent professionals prior to engaging in any investment that may impact your finances.
Crypto.
It's funny that you mentioned that because while I haven't researched the NBA NFT too deeply, but even when I saw that, I think that TopShot still has a more compelling product than the NBA NFT. So even though the NBA NFT is kind of like officially licensed, it sounds like TopShot still has a licensing agreement already with the NBA. So it does feel a little bit weird that the NBA has kind of two types of NFTs out there, kind of the video TopShot NFTs that they've got with Dapper, and then they've got I guess it looks like it's just a static picture currently, or static image of the NFTs, which are kind of drawings. For me, I personally like the TopShot product better. And so there's a product differentiation, but then kind of to your point is, for me, it's almost like, what is the NBA doing? Because they're now giving, they're kind of spreading themselves a little bit thin over the kind of the NFT market. So I think it's still too young or too much in its infancy to kind of draw a conclusion. But if the product stays what it is, I'm sure that other collectors and investors like me are going to stay with TopShot. The only thing that concerns me in terms of valuation is if the NBA somehow takes that license away from TopShot. That'd be a huge thing. But I imagine that Dapper has some sort of multi-year agreement. So I don't think it's going to go anyway anytime soon. But even purely from a product perspective, TopShot is very superior and just is much more superior. And so that gives me a little bit of comfort, plus the fact that there's likely a multi-year deal with these kinds of things. I mean, you don't do something like a TopShot or an NFLALLDAY and only run like a 1-year licensing agreement with someone as big as the NBA. Because if you think about it, this whole idea of NFTs and licensing, this was years in the making. So this is probably 2, 3, 4 years ago they started even talking about this stuff. Yeah, that's a good point. You're going into like fast following in any market, right? Like whether it's like technology or phones or cars, whatever it is, usually the first to the space, it kind of gets it mass adopted, and then the followers, the second or third followers after that, kind of perfect it. To your point, that's it's interesting you mentioned that. I don't know if that will be the case here, but it's actually interesting in the fact that NBA actually owns the right to their own stuff. Obviously, that would actually get me concerned. So it's a good point. I don't know if that will apply here, but it's I'm not sure how I would actually prepare for that, to be honest with you. But that's fair. I mean, that is it's a good call out. It's something to continue to watch because again, if the product maintains the level, I imagine that Dapper will continue to improve their product, so it will become I think partly a product play too. But to your point, the real value, and I'm gonna zoom out to the bigger picture with all of these NFT and crypto projects just in general. The reason that, and I'll circle back to the point that we were just talking about, but the reason that TopShot and AllDay are very compelling investment vehicles for me, investment vehicles and just fun in collecting as well, is that they are officially licensed by the NBA and NFL. That, compare and contrast that with the million of other projects that are out there that are these random NFTs that celebrities are dropping, or these Bored Ape Yacht Club, name any of these NFT projects, and you hear about the really scamming ones. There's a lot of scamming ones out there, right? How does one choose? I feel like I'm a decently sophisticated investor, and I'm looking at all these projects. I'm like, I don't know which ones of these are gonna be around for the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. Blockchain, that technology and cryptocurrency, I do believe is going to be around for the next 5, 10, 15. It's going to be big in the future. I fundamentally believe that. But these NFT projects, a lot of them are just money grabs, and that might sound obvious. And the reason why I like the NBA and the NFL is because they're officially licensed, right? And so the NBA and NFL wouldn't put their name on something if they didn't fundamentally believe it was going to be around for at least some amount of time, and in my mind, at least a few years. So that's what gives me comfort in it. Now, going back to what you're originally saying is if the NBA pulls the license, then that is, to your point, very scary, because then Dapper doesn't have any have a good. That's the foundation of their product, is the fact that you can use the images and the likeness of the NBA players, right? So it's interesting you mentioned that one, because it gets to something I've been thinking about with just NFTs in general, whether it's TopShot or All Day or Bored Ape Yacht Club, is this idea of value add on top of the NFT itself, right? So a lot of these NFT projects are, I'm going to use the kind of the running joke that a lot of people that are not necessarily bought into NFTs in general is, oh, that's just a JPEG, or that's just a video that I can get freely anywhere else, right? And so that's typically the big shot at NFTs in general. What I would say to that is, to your point, the creators of these NFTs are building a community. So you're paying the value in the NFTs. You're paying for kind of a spot in this community. So that's value add number one. And then to your point, value add number two is not only access to that community, but additional things and perks that come with that NFT. Bored Ape Yacht Club is starting to take this. It's still a little bit opaque with Bored Ape Yacht Club, because I think eventually they want to make a game out of it, and a whole be part of their metaverse community along with other NFT projects. So I think they have a vision, and early adopters are very bought into that vision, right? And they've done a lot of marketing and built up a lot of hype, and getting a whole bunch of these stars to really say, yeah, this is something we believe in. So I do think there is a good value proposition there. I don't know if the average investor like myself can afford a $400,000 Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT. I can't imagine the vast majority of my audience, or the vast majority of the population in the United States or in the world, can afford that, right? Like, this is the upper echelon of people that are kind of investing there. And so I think that's the other thing to kind of think about is what grabs headlines is the fact that these are hundreds and thousands of dollars being spent on these NFTs. And that's what the average person just kind of reading about NFTs kind of sees. But for something like and I'm going to compare and contrast that with something like an NBA TopShot, a little bit more accessible, or much more accessible than something like a Bored Ape Yacht Club.
Crypto.